Hey there. This is Jacob Corey Gold, and I am the host for All the Things Light. I'm excited to be here and to continue to share, and I appreciate each of you for continuing to listen and to chime in and to respond and to reach out as you do. It's very much appreciated. I've had a thought that's been ringing. I've several thoughts, but I've had a thought here that's been ringing here this evening, and really a thought that started when I was probably 19 years old. But the thought that just continues to ring and support and help me and undergird me is the thought of there is no competition. There is no competition. And as we learn and as we grow in, there is no competition. So we walk in what it means to love thy brother as thyself, love thy neighbor as thyself. When I don't compete with you, when I don't compete with me, I'm not trying to keep up with the Joneses. I can celebrate the Joneses. I can celebrate me. I can celebrate you and your accomplishments and your endeavors um, because I'm not competing against you. But as I compete against you, there's an opportunity to attack. There's an opportunity to loathe, to hate versus love, to try to be a hindrance as opposed to a support when I'm competing against you. Uh, Most times folks think about competition, they think about sports. I'm a sports fan, love sports, love to watch the competition of sport, but I also keep sport on the court or on the field. And I don't take that into my being because it was during the times that I was at Morehouse. And imagine being on a campus of 3,000 young brothers, young black men. That's what Morehouse is known for, educating young black men. And I happen to be one of the students, and I've graduated from there for undergraduate. And but imagine being there and feeling like you got to compete against everybody, every one of them. And here it is, they look like you, they sound like you. Maybe they're from New Jersey, maybe they're from Japan, maybe they're from China, maybe they grew up in Germany, but they look just like me. And if I had to compete against my brother, think about it even in the home. I've got three older brothers. And when we were young, we used to compete. I can imagine competing for mom's attention. I can imagine competing for the last piece of chicken. I can imagine competing for a lot of different things. So it really is in sports. I played sports. Um, but as I was walking the campus of Morehouse, 19 years old, 20 years old, a constant thought would ring true. There is no competition. There is no competition. And it would have a little bit of ring to it. There is no competition. There is no competition. And I didn't know what that meant. I rehearsed it. But what it was doing for me was not making me feel like I have to contend against my brothers. Um, I could imagine being there coming up the way that we came up. Me and my brothers were raised by a single mother, and we weren't born with silver spoons. But when you're down there, you see these brothers that were born with silver spoons, and they're driving the fanciest of cars, wearing the fanciest of clothes, and going out every weekend to do this, that, and the third. Um, the latest shoes, right? Living in apartments, living in Lux. And I'm seeing this coming from where I come from. And again, I can imagine if I had not, if my innermost being did not settle me and there is no competition, I would have been competing. I wouldn't have been able to enjoy Morehouse the way that I thoroughly did. because I learned that I didn't have to compete. I can find my own little niche. I can find my own little way of doing things, my own little circle of friends, if you will. And that's what I did. It was very, very few, but beautiful, beautiful brothers. In a way that, again, I didn't have to compete. I can be myself. And the brothers that befriended me allowed me to be myself. I didn't have to talk a certain kind of way. I didn't have to sound hood. I didn't have to, or whatever. I didn't have to sound any kind of way but be myself. I've never been one to use profanity. I didn't have to start cussing because I didn't have to compete. I didn't have to try to keep up with. I didn't have to do that because they did that. I didn't have to compete. I wasn't trying to get the latest ride or the latest girl or whatever the case may be. I wasn't trying to get the latest pair of shoes, although I went through a phase where, and I remember my grandmother, I came home one time and I had a pair of boots on. Now, these are some leather boots. These are very nice boots. And I paid some money for these boots. And I must have said to my grandmother how much I paid for me. And I said, look at these. Ain't these nice? And she looked back at me. She said, you can't eat them. You can't cut them up, knife and fork. I said, in my mind, I'm thinking, what in the world? But again, it was rehearsed. There is no competition. Don't spend money you don't have on stuff that you can't eat because it's going to come a time where you're going to look at those shoes and wish that you hadn't have spent that money on those boots, that you wish you hadn't have tried to keep up with the Joneses to look a certain way, to be a certain way, to act a certain way. Therefore, I didn't have to go to every club, every corner that every folks, no, 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 because I didn't have to compete. So bring that up into the way that we interact with one another. Again, I can celebrate you for being yourself. I can love you right where you are. I don't have to attack you because I'm not trying to step on over you to get to, no, there's enough. And when I think about there is no competition, there is no such thing as loss. So the way that back then I would make sense of there is no competition, I would say, well, who can compete against God? I'm the child of the Most High God. Who can compete against my Creator? And it still rings true. But even in that phrase, even in that sounding, there's like God against everybody. There's no against when there is no competition. There is no contra. There is no, again, there is no attack. I don't have to attack because I'm not competing against you. I'm not trying to outwit you, outword you, outspeak you, outperform you. I'm going to celebrate you where you are, and I'm going to celebrate me where I am. I'm not going to be in a hurry to be something that I'm not, even as it relates to this walk in the light, you all. It's a beautiful walk. And because of this walk, I picked up my innermost being has been listening, and I've been listening in a way that it really does and has edified. But there are still times where it's like, well, dang, I'm not as far as I want to be. I want to be all the way at the light. Well, we already are. We just have to acknowledge it and be aware of it in a way that, again, I want all of us to be there, to acknowledge, to be aware of the light. That's why I share. And I have to go back to those three tenets, right? Um, love is creation's greatest idea. The fact that we have come together to become one, to have an idea of love, well, there is no competition in love. I can't love you and then turn around and compete against you. That's contra, that contradicts love. The second tenet is love is love is creation's greatest idea. We are one. I can't be one with you if I'm competing against you. And the last is we are the generation of the light. We. There is no competition in we. There's a phrase that folks say, there is no I in we. There is no competition in we. There is not. And so again, as we walk towards that, as we walk towards the light, we have to pick up we have to remember certain things, right? It's not like it's already not already in us to know this. But simple words like there is no competition. It goes so far, so deep, and it's such a seed that's been planted to where again, I live in a beautiful neighborhood. And I keep my yard up, not to compete against my neighbors because I like a nice yard. I like to drive up in my driveway and it be, oh, look at them roses popping because I fertilized them. Look at that grass because either I cut it or I paid somebody to cut it and edge it and line it up. I'm not competing. I've said before, creation is, uh, uh, it also involves uh, making sure that you are comfortable, creating that environment that you love, that you appreciate. I love it. Now I've had some hurt help. I got some people out there helping me, paying them to help me. But I'm so grateful that I can and that I have the mindset that I have that says I'm going to be peaceful. I'm going to celebrate myself and others. I'm not going to compete against you. I'm not going to have to conform to be a certain kind of way because you're not or because you are. And I'm going to love you where you are. You're going to love me where I am. And if you don't, well, watch me be the light still. Um, every action, and I've said it before, when you think about children, every action that we take in front of a child, we're teaching. Such the same as adults. Every action that we take is a teaching moment. And if as you look a certain kind of way at me and I'm looking, giving you that same look back, oh, I don't have to do that. I can smile. I was at the grocery store the other day. And I just kept smiling. Regardless of the way that I was being talked at, I was speaking with the young lady. Hey, how are you? I guess she got, there was, these little machines where you put your card in. And I didn't realize that it didn't, when I hit enter, that it didn't, it didn't push all the way. So I'm waiting on her to give me the receipt. She said, you got to push the button. I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I pushed the button. How you doing? Can you please push the button? I said, oh yeah, there you go. And then she had to do it again because I guess it timed out and she got a little bit more. I just kept smiling. I didn't give back to me what I was getting because I was giving what I was wanting to receive. I don't have to receive no junk. I would tell my students when they would come to me with so and so did this and so said this and so did this. And I said, you tell them about what somebody else did. It's almost like you're bringing me the garbage can and you're bringing me all this junk that somebody else did, somebody else said. I said, are you a garbage can? No, I ain't no garbage can. You calling me a garbage can? I said, no. I said, why are you bringing all this junk? What you mean? You said all of these things, and I can run down all these things, but that's some junk. I don't have to receive your junk. And you don't have to receive that junk because you are not a dumpster. And so, in as much as I didn't pick up what she was putting down, I gave her the light. And my hope is that she had a wonderful rest of her evening, giving receipts and saying hello. I remember when I was working at Wendy's, I was in high school, and people would come to the drive-through and they would look forward. I've had people that say, I look forward to coming here to hear that young man speak in the drive-through. He's got such a speaking voice. He's so chippery and happy all the time. It's like, well, thank you. I appreciate because you don't have to be here. And as much as you are here, let's make it a pleasant experience for both of us. And so I really appreciate this lesson. I'm so grateful to have just to continue to have it ring up in me that there is no competition because I can love you and I can celebrate you because I don't have to compete against you. Let us continue to walk towards the light together. Grace.